Boom.
Damn.
Ricky right hooked him. I had to catch you. I've been planning that since like last night. And
yeah, you caught me off guard like
I've literally
crap.
been sitting here planning that since last night, and I was like, man, I am ready to fucking say that right off the rip.
Damn, you scared the ever-living shit out of me.
Oh, dude, I've literally been waiting on that since yesterday.
All right. Well, now my ears are ringing like Kyle Busch's are. Damn. All right. Hello. Howdy.
Oh, man.
Beautiful people and all that.
Wow.
All right. We had just sat here and talked for, like 5 minutes before we even started, too, so.
We did, but I didn't mention I was doing that.
Yeah, I had no idea that was coming. That was awesome. Oh, man. I saw the fight coming. I didn't see that coming.
I'm so glad the fight happened. There's nothing better than all these guys all the time talk this big game and then don't do shit. Yeah. And so I was happy to hear someone talk and say they're going to do something and then do it. That was my favorite part.
And he had like an hour and a half, 2 hours to calm down, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Damn, the $1 million haymaker.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Yeah, that was I'm not going to say like saved the race, but it definitely made everything more exciting.
Damn, that is amazing. That is hilarious. I mean, it's just the even better part to me is we're talking about the guys that finished in last. And about damn near second to last. What was it? 10th? Last and 10th. In a race where only first matters.
Did Kyle Busch finish 10th? Because I was making the joke about, I was like, Kyle Busch hadn't even been in the top 10. Because he ran in that like 13th, 14th place there for a long time. Because on that first run, Larson, I was just keeping an eye on Larson, and he went from the back, and then he stuck between 13th and 14th, and it was him and Busch kind of doing this number right here.
Yeah.
On that first run, that's where he got stuck at. So he ran there for a long time.
Yeah, it was a rough day for him, and
like Ricky said, though, he's frustrated because he doesn't run as good as he used to. So
which totally makes sense.
It's just so damn sad, really, to see RCR, dude, like just suck.
Yeah,
RCR is just not. What are they doing? What's the deal?
I don't know. Half of it's been happening for years. The 8-car should never be like this, but it just is.
Oh,
it's very wild for them. I do feel for them on that.
I mean, dude, like, as much as I do, what's the word here? I've always like hated Kyle Busch, quote unquote. You know, like and you know, I've been on the fuck Kyle Busch train in Talladega. Is 99% of the population has been on at Talladega.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just part of being a NASCAR fan. Even Kyle Busch fans yell it sometimes.
Yeah, they have to. Did you see the guy yesterday? He had a tub that hung down to about his knees. His belly hung down to about his knees. He's wearing no shirt.
Yeah.
He's got this sign on his head that just says Kyle Busch is a douchebag. And it's like a homemade hat. And you know, it's like an 8x10 kind of sign here. He's got just on his head, you know. And
golly,
I just hit that with my elbow, so it might fall in the middle of this show.
Dang, you're gonna have another sheet metal problem.
Yeah, but where was I? But Kyle Busch is not even 40 years old. You know what I mean? And like, he is still one of the greatest. And he cannot even get that car running good.
I mean, you can hear it. You can hear the frustration in his voice when they put the in-car audio up there. And he's just like, this car is just shit. It won't turn in the front. It won't turn in the rear. It won't do nothing. And I think he put himself in this situation, and he's still just, it's one thing for Kez to go to his situation where he's going to the 6 and the 17 whenever they're not running great at all. And turn the whole attitude of the shop around, because he was a part owner. He's got his own flag planted over there. So he gets to make those kind of decisions, those overarching decisions. Kyle's just a driver over there, which still can change a lot. Let's look at his brother.
Yeah.
But you just go over there and you're just a driver. There's only so much that you can really change. You're having to deal with their equipment, their crew chiefs, their employees, their everything, their way of doing things. And it's just shown time and again that they're not quite where they need to be. And even Kyle Busch can go over there and struggle, which says a lot. Just like you said, he's one of the greatest of all time, and he is struggling at this team.
Yeah,
we know he's got the skills. So,
and still in his prime is what I wanted to say. That he's not as old as Denny Hamlin or some of these other guys. It feels like he's older because he's kind of like Joey Logano. He started racing in NASCAR and he was so young, So
yeah. No doubt. I mean, it is crazy.
But I miss, back in 20. Hell, kind of Kyle Busch's whole career up until recently. But Kyle Busch is he's guaranteed a scuffle per season.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And we got it.
We got it. So it's always good when a Kyle Busch scuffle happens because he's such a polarizing person, and people, it's kind of like the Denny Hamlin thing too. People absolutely hate him or they absolutely love him.
Yeah, no in betweens.
So it's it kind of felt like 2018 really is what it kind of felt like again. Kyle Busch
did
getting into a scuffle, again.
Knocking people out of the way and getting into a scuffle. Although I will admit, it was kind of wild to see him just race people the way he was yesterday. I don't know what the heck they put in his Cheerios yesterday morning.
I think he was pissed.
But he was just pissed off at everything.
He couldn't run. He was not fast.
Yeah.
He was not fast.
Figured that out within 5 laps and got pissed about it within 5 laps.
Let's just dive into the fight and everything that happened. Since we're just starting
I'm
it
in
off.
I'm in it. Okay.
So here again, Fox I never saw a clear view. They gave the front view every single time, the one that I saw on TV. And from the front, you cannot tell. It looks like Ricky puts him in the wall. It really does.
I couldn't disagree more.
Well, if you go on, I retweeted it. If you go on to somebody's onboard here, it is actually Ty Gibbs' onboard that you can see this from. Right behind him. Kyle Busch gets loose, hits the wall with the back of his car first, slaps the nose, and then bounces off the wall into Ricky.
Yeah.
And then he loses his mind on Ricky Stenhouse.
Okay, so I must have misheard you. It sounded like you were telling me that you didn't think that you thought Kyle was justified in being mad.
No. I'm talking about from the front view.
Because I was about to just have to go into that.
The front view that Fox shows, you can't. To me, I just couldn't tell. It looked like a racing deal. Everybody's in there bumping and banging, whatever.
Well, to me, it looked like whoever. I think it was Michael McDowell was right in front of Ricky Stenhouse, and he got up, or it was somebody like that. He got squirreled up in that middle lane, and when Stenhouse was inside the 8. Was outside, I believe it was the 34. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. I don't know who I'm waiting for to come in and correct me, but y'all just
the 34 wasn't a bluish car, just like the 47 was.
But it looked like Stenhouse was inside the 8, where he was pretty much at his bumper was even. Kyle's bumper was even with Stenhouse's number on his door. Mm-hmm. So he's there, he's ahead, and then the car that was in front of him that he was also inside of. Or outside of, where he was kind of in a weird situation where there was 2 cars on his inside and 1 car on his out. And it looked like that first car, which was, I believe, McDowell, slides up into his nose, gets his nose pushed over to the wall, which forces him further up, which forces him to force Kyle Busch into the wall. And it was a racing deal, 100%. There's so many cars around. I know that he doesn't have a great vantage point because he's probably got his view of that other car blocked by his own A-post, but Kyle just lost his mind about something I thought could have happened to absolutely anyone.
Yeah.
And he just immediately saw red.
Yeah, and Ricky said that to him. He was like, you hit the wall and then hit me. And I just 100% agree with that statement.
Yeah. Everybody ran out of room because you're on a tiny-ass track going 500 miles an hour around the damn thing, and you're 3 wide.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? It's kind of like Blaney last week. It's when Byron forces them all 3 wide. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? You're in a vulnerable position, and you needed to protect that. And Stenhouse and Busch kind of both got screwed by that situation. So.
Yeah, and then Ricky says what he says, and I was like, okay. And then anybody knows the whole hold my watch thing. If you've been watching racing for any time since 1980, Richard Childers has been saying that about holding his watch over the radio in interviews, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that means he's going to punch him. That's what that meant. And then he did it.
Yeah.
And then the altercation I loved even more is after the fight's over, you got the security guy holding Ricky. You got Kyle's team holding him. He's like on the tailgate of his hauler. They have those little red ropes, on the side there.
Yeah, little safety ropes.
They're leaning over each other and they're hollering back and forth. And Kyle says something like, "See what you did," or something like that. And then Ricky goes, "I'll wreck you at Charlotte." And Kyle Busch goes, "I don't care. Fucking do it. I suck just as bad as you. I don't give a fuck." And double birds him. And you can see the frustration in Kyle Busch. This happened, but this all stems from him not running good.
Yes, 1,000%. It does. I mean, the even funnier part is everybody's been talking about it, including us, how much calmer this year Kyle Busch seems. And that dude was seeing red so much that I'm pretty sure Stenhouse's dad was just trying to pull Kyle away from the fight and just trying to separate the two. And he couldn't get to his son because the same old dude that breaks up every fight was breaking up that fight.
Yeah.
And Kyle is getting forced away by Stenhouse's dad. Kyle's so mad from all this pent-up aggression because he's been so frustrated and he's been so calm everywhere else. It's like he knew it didn't go away. And it's like he just finally let out a 1.5 years worth of frustration on anyone he saw that he did not recognize and didn't have one of his fire suits on.
Yeah.
Because he just starts going after Stenhouse's dad after that.
Once you see the pictures, there's a good picture where Stenhouse's dad comes around, boom, gets Kyle right in the face. And there's another good picture where Kyle hits him with his dad with a left hook right in the face.
Yeah.
You can see that. And then they wind up on the ground. Well, then a guy in a Kroger uniform has Kyle Busch in a headlock over the thing. Yep. And then Kyle Busch's Hulk team member, he's just throwing guys left and right, telling them to get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck, he's like throwing guys with one hand. And I posted to him like, these guys, the guy that had Kyle Busch in a headlock was wearing he was in his he's like a mechanic. He was wearing black pants and like a uniform shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle Busch's guys that were over there were pit crew guys. Pit crew guys are D1 athletes. You don't want to mess with a D1 athlete. And
no.
That dude was throwing guys around one arm. This guy threw this guy this way, threw this guy this way, telling everybody to get the fuck out of here. And
it was incredible.
It was. There was the Kyle Busch Ricky fight, Ricky and some other guys over here, Kyle Busch and Kyle Busch's dad, some crew members getting at it. I mean, it was just crazy. There was water getting thrown. There was hats.
Yep.
It made me laugh so hard when somebody they were kind of shitting on Ricky's punch. Kyle Busch's hat went from facing forward to spinning all the way around this way.
Completely around. Whoever gives contact. That man, I don't see how anybody can give him crap for that.
I mean,
anybody that's giving him crap for that,
here.
Anybody that's giving him crap for that has never tried to throw a punch in their life because it is not easy to do.
Oh man,
not easy to do because you got to land
Kyle's hat spun,
with no experience and no practice. You just got to go for it. Good luck, man. You think you're good? Try it.
They said, the Nick Hoffman, if you know who he is, he's a dirt track racing guy, but he's buddies with a lot of Cup guys and all that stuff. They all work out together, yada, yada, yada. The Whoop bracelets, that everybody wears nowadays that, gives you your workouts or whatever. They're in a shared group where they can all see each other's Whoop information. And it said that Ricky was in a boxing match. That's what it popped up as on the Whoop thing, that he was practicing.
It's Whoop
boxing.
official. It's Whoop official.
And I was like, oh my God. It was great. I mean, and it's on just like the Talladega finish or the Atlanta finish and the finish of the week. It's on all these news platforms, all this stuff. And
keep it coming, man. Keep it coming. NASCAR school again. Y'all come on.
Yeah. And I haven't had anybody say this to me in a long time, but it was a long time ago on Twitter, naturally. And one of the fights happens, I don't remember which one. This was years ago. But a guy comments on my tweet, I'm talking about loving the fight, and he's like, if you love fighting so much and not racing, like, you should go watch UFC or something like that. And I was like, dude, you're so lame if you don't like when grown men are pissed off enough to fight each other. I don't care if it's in hockey or football or racing,
baseball,
or soccer, baseball. Like, I love it. And they always all get posted everywhere. If you see the other day when there's that big bench clearing brawl in baseball, it was on every single TV. We were out eating somewhere, and it's on every TV in the whole place.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
If you don't like that, man, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I know what to tell you. I just can't say it on this podcast. But
yeah,
that is a lame opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a fighter myself, but I do enjoy watching a fight go down.
Yeah, it's just chaos, absolute chaos, and you're not a part of it.
Yeah,
tons of fun,
great time all the way around. Loved it.
Heck yeah. So before the fight happened. It sounds like me and you have a different opinion. Before the fight happened, how did you feel about the racing we saw, both in the Open and in the actual All-Star race?
I don't know. I'm like 50-50. There was things I liked, things I didn't. Here again, I wasn't trying to like dissect this whole race. I was just trying to enjoy it, hanging out and, having some drinks and cooking pizza and such. I guess it was weird to me there wasn't a single pass for the lead in the Open or the All-Star race, which that just happens. It is what it is. Like, that happens. 34, Dale Jr. posted 34 years ago yesterday, Earnhardt won the All-Star race and led every single lap. Like, it happens. And that's fine. That is what it is. There was some passing here and there. The yellow tire sucked. They couldn't pass on the yellow tire at all. And then the red tire, you could pass some. And the cars looked loose. Like, on the start of the race, you see, like, everybody, like, when they started, even, like, I know that wreck happened on, like, lap 2, the first one, when everybody switched up everything. But they were, like, the cars looked like they were doing this. They're kind of dancing all over. And I was like, oh, man, this is about to be awesome. And then that moment happened. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then everybody switched tires. And I just think that they could have went, and just from what I see on Twitter, everybody kind of has this opinion, could have went even softer with the tires. There was a little more tire fall off with the red one. I think the red is in the great direction, and it's like perfect for heading in that direction. And it didn't blow. It was durable. There wasn't crazy tire. There was tire wear, but there wasn't like cords hanging out and stuff like they were talking about. But after Joey Logano gets out of the car and says that he ran 800 laps in North Wilkesboro in a tire test, I should have put every dollar I'd ever made on Joey Logano if I'd have known that he ran 800 laps on a tire test. There. Like, you can't give these guys have no practice on this track hardly at all. And Joey Logano, last week when I was saying about Josh Berry having all these laps and all this stuff, how that would help him out.
Yeah.
I didn't know Joey Logano had ran an 800 lap race here, over a few months ago.
Yeah.
that'd have been helpful to know,
It would have been helpful to know for sure for the betting line. I would have absolutely followed your lead. I would have gone right to it because I had no idea.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, they keep that. I don't know if they keep it secretive, but I didn't know that. I knew they had tire tests there for the trucks and the Cup Series, but I thought it was kind of like everybody could run here kind of thing, not one guy, a couple guys, and then run. 800 laps is a long time, a bunch of laps to dial your car exactly in the way you want it to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a major advantage. At least it wasn't a point span race, and probably why they let him get away with having 800 laps in a tire test without having a whole bunch of other teams come up and do the same thing.
Totally. But I don't know.
I mean, it was good for $1 million. That every one of those 800 laps, $1 million divided by 800. That's how valuable every one of those laps was.
Totally.
But man, that's so funny that you're on the fence about it because I absolutely loved everything that I saw yesterday. I thought to myself, those red tires are the way to go. Obviously, they could use a little bit more fall off, but we're talking about a brand new pave on a racetrack. Even though they did design it with a lot more pores in it to try to get more tire wear, nothing wears a tire out like age on a racetrack. The older that track is, it just seems like it wears the tires out more. It has more character to it. Requires a lot more drivability. I'm not saying that it would necessarily cause more fall off with the tires, but that was such a step in the right direction. I don't think it was a bad race at all. I don't think there was any part of it that I consider even slightly less than even any less than average. I mean, you had people side by side. You had people that were actually able to get to the bumpers of other cars. You had a ton of dive bombing and such, and I think it was just that the outside lane at that track was just more dominant. I mean, it just, without any doubts, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. And they had trouble passing because you're trying to dive down to the inside, and the only thing that you're left to do is try to hit the guy on your outside to try to get him off of his rhythm or find some way to outdo him. And it required a lot more physical beating and banging, and I know people were a little bit nervous to do that because it's so easy to spin these cars out, but it was such a step in the right direction. It was not just a train, and I think you just said yourself, there may have been no passes for the lead, but you're talking about a guy with 800 laps of advantage and experience on that racetrack, and also only half the field on the track. You add another 20 cars and take away that 800 lap advantage to the leader, and I think you have a hellaciously good, hard-nosed, difficult racetrack great racetrack for this car. I think everything about it could have been perfect. The only thing we're missing is points paying and 20 cars.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. I think, first off, I loved that they could run from the yellow line all the way to the wall. I mean, that was great, especially for, like you said, for a repave.
Yeah.
I guess my expectations were like stupid high, I guess, for the red tire. Is why, like, I was just like so pumped. I was like, man, this is going to be like Bristol, is what I almost was like thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And then to hear like Denny Hamlin when he did his interview with Jamie Little in the practice, he was so hopped up on it. And Denny Hamlin's a guy that shoots you straight no matter what, so you can take what Denny Hamlin says to the bank kind of thing. So he was so hopped up on it, I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. And back to Logano running 800 laps, they also said he ran the most laps on red tires. He ran like 63 laps on red tires in practice, and it came down to, boom, he ran 2 sets of red tires, and he won the race. I mean, it was, I mean, they nailed it. They nailed it. It's just perfect. I just wish if the step in the right direction is perfect. Like, just trash that yellow tire and let the new spot be where these red tires are, and then go even more aggressive. Is what I would
100%.
say.
I agree, because there's never. I will say this: there's never a reason for somebody with. When was that last caution that they threw? Was that 50 to go?
150, yeah.
They throw that caution, and some people come down to pit, and some people don't. There should never be a reason that with 50 laps to go, even at a track that short, that the leader doesn't have something to worry about with those guys that go in and take 4 tires.
Yeah.
And he had nothing to worry about those guys that went and take 4 tires. Because there wasn't, I mean, I think it was up to like 3/10 or 4/10 of fall off, which with it still being somewhat difficult to make a pass around that track, 4/10 is not enough of a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, 4/10 maybe, but 3 and 2, that's just not enough to make enough of a difference in lap time to really have that good, solid advantage you need to make those passes and go up there and fight for that win. Because if that was the case, then with 50 to go, every person in the top 10 would have taken tires too.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Like 100,000% right there with you. 50 to go, you should be like, my tires are destroyed and I need new ones, and let's go pit. And get, because like,
makes me wonder if a different track that wears them out would make you do that.
Yeah, if you ran that, I mean, dude, we need tire wear everywhere. It's not just short tracks. I mean, we need tire wear at every single track. I mean, tire wear makes for great racing. It just does. Like, all these high wear tracks, even throughout the last 20, 25 years, were always the ones that were like the ones,
Yeah.
So
it's not. It's almost like I don't want to race where you're racing 100% of the time. I want to race where you've got to learn how to lead it running 60 to 80%, because you cannot run 100% unless it's the last damn lap of the race, because you're going to wear those damn tires out too fast.
And nothing against Carson Hocevar for saying this, but when they asked him on Door Bumper Clear, like, what makes you so good at this car? It's like, because you don't have to worry about anything. He said you can run this car as hard as you absolutely want it every single lap.
Yep.
And that's why Carson Hocevar blew tire every lap at Bristol, and that's why Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski and Martin Truex Jr. finished 1, 2, 3. So because we've already talked about it, so I don't have to go into it again. But they know they came from the era where every single race you had to manage your tires, and you fired off, and then you did not run that car 100% because of tires. You had to make your tires last, and also now it's kind of like at Darlington. Even with it being the 400-mile race, the most laps you had on a set of tires was 50. And so even at Darlington, you can't run it probably 100%, but you can run it pretty close. Like that was something I didn't even think about until I heard it on Denny Hamlin's podcast. But like, they could just split it down the middle. If you split it down the middle, it was like 40 and 40 or something like that. Or some guys would do like 30 and 50 because the stages were like 80 laps. So I don't know. I just wish. Just need more tire wear. It's like I listened to Chris Gapehart's post-race interview with Matt Weaver last night, and he was ranting and raving about how great the repave was and the tire, and saying the exact same thing we were. He would like to see it go even more aggressive on the tire, obviously. And he's like, we don't have a short track problem. He's like, we got a car problem, but he's like, tires can fix that car problem. Yeah,
they can definitely help. I mean, that was, like you just said, it was a huge step in the right direction, which is awesome. And like I said, I loved everything that I saw. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I would watch that race over again right now, the Open and the All-Star race, both of them, because I just it was like watching short track racing again. It was so much better than what we've been getting. My expectations were honestly pretty damn low, because we've been told that they're changing stuff constantly this year, between the way that they made the package, how they're doing the diffuser. We're doing a little bit different thing with the tire here, and none of it's making any of a difference. All of a sudden, you go to this racetrack, short track, big, huge difference. Yeah. So, hell yeah, I'm all about it. Finally, we're seeing some damn results, and everybody agrees we have a problem, and we're finally doing something about it. It only took us half the season and a whole lot of bitching to get here, but we're here. So I just hope we keep moving that needle a little bit further, get a little bit more aggressive, start taking more chances. We're in a great spot to take chances right now. So just do it.
Yeah. Elton Sawyer said on the Dale Jr. thing that this wasn't just for shits and giggles. This tire was to like get a baseline of like what they can do. So if that's true, then we could be in good shape with a softer tire going forward.
And it should tell him something that almost every single person by the end of that race was exclusively racing on those red tires.
Yes.
That should tell him something.
Yeah.
Everybody switched to him because they were a little faster, but everybody switched to him because they didn't wear out as well. So it's a little bit of a dual thing. It is a better tire, but it's still not as good as we need it. So we're getting there. And we can finally say something positive after saying something negative. We're still not there.
Yeah.
But we're a lot closer than we used to be. So I'm happy, man. I'm sitting over here happy as a tick.
One of my favorite quotes, because this is basic NASCAR right here, but a guy goes, the whole industry is complimenting and ranting and raving about the direction of this new tire, which means we'll never see it again. Which means NASCAR will never bring it back again.
I hope they ain't right. If they can find a tire to fix Phoenix, man, I'll give them all the credit in the world. I'll never complain again.
Exactly, and that's They wanted to, basically this was a 200-lap tire test for this tire pretty much because they're always saying, well, you got to do this and you got to test it and you got to do this and you got to test it. So now, like I said, if we have a baseline with this, maybe you can bring that to Phoenix,
Yeah. Talk about the greatest tire test in the world. Find an exhibition race that pays no points where it really doesn't matter except for the winner. And now not only do you have 200 laps of data, but you have 200 laps of data multiplied by the 20 cars who are racing on it. So that's a hell of a lot of data they just got about this tire.
Yeah,
which is a really smart idea. Honestly, a great way to do it. So
bring it to
kudos
Phoenix.
to NASCAR for using their brains for once.
Yeah.
But
bring it
I just had a lot of fun watching
in
it.
Darlington and Kansas and every other racetrack.
Oh my God, yeah. Absolutely. Can you imagine Kansas with tire wear? Now not only are people flying around each other, but you got comers and goers too, so the field is just shuffling constantly.
Yeah.
Damn. I might pass away that day just so that way that'd be the last race I'd ever have to remember.
Yeah.
It's
that's
awesome.
The thing. That's what used to be when they had 950 horsepower.
Yeah.
With 950 horsepower in that skinnier tire, 16-inch tire or whatever it was back in the day, they could roast them off.
Yeah, they could.
You could burn the tires off coming out of the corner if you wanted to. And, just can't do that anymore. So we got to make them softer to where they can burn the tires off of them.
Yeah. Well, maybe eventually we're moving in the right direction. Maybe eventually we'll get them to add horsepower back.
I don't know if I see it.
It's a little bit of a joke on my end, but
yeah,
that's just what I mean. Hopes can be hopes, man. I'm gonna hold my hopes high and just hope to God somebody picks them up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it, but I feel like they've pretty much just shot that down completely. And it's like if they shot horsepower down, it's got to be tires because just like Denny said, he's like, you're telling me they're gonna focus. They want to focus on aero at a short track. He was like, I'm running 55 miles an hour in the middle of the corner at Martinsville. There's aerodynamics do not matter. Like,
yeah,
fixing the aerodynamics of that car does not matter when I'm going 55 miles an hour. So, like,
give me some mechanical grip.
Yes, it's just just like I said the other week. Chocolate Meyer said it's a tire problem. If you got a tire harder than a diamond that never wears out, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, no freaking doubt.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like we said, moving in the right direction. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take a good win where I can get one, So looking into the actual running of the All-Star race, we ended up with Joey obviously winning, dominating every lap, except for one. I don't know which lap it was that he didn't lead, but almost a perfect race for him. Move of the race for sure to just put yourself into contention was all those guys staying out at that one caution that they had where everybody flipped over tires. They started on those reds, took them all off, and you had all the Penske's or the two Penske's, the RFK cars, and I want to say it was Reddick was the other one that stayed out on those red tires.
Yeah.
And took a shot to get up front. And what a great idea it was, because putting all those cars up to the front, most of them being Fords, by the way, which is a whole nother topic of discussion, puts them back up into the front, filling out the top five, and went ahead and every single one of those cars, except for Reddick, stayed in the top five throughout the entirety of the rest of the race.
Yep.
I know that Keselowski ended up falling down to 16th by the end of it, but you end up with Buescher, you end up with Blaney, Logano, all leading that. And it just was a phenomenal strategy that just worked out like I never would have thought.
Yeah, because
definitely the move of the race to me.
When you make that call at the time when the unknowns there, that comes across as a very ballsy strategy. And then it turns out to be there was fall off, but nowhere near the amount of fall off as they said there was going to be. And the guys on the yellow tires, once everybody's tires are hot, it's just like, okay, here we are.
And you notice who made that move? Everybody that is affiliated with Joey Logano, having run all those laps in practice on that red tire.
Yeah.
Tells you everything you need to know right there. Yeah, everybody just knew. I feel like they figured something out. And they all kind of knew, all right, it's totally worth it if there's an early caution to stay on this red tire because we think everybody else is going to flip, get behind us, and we'll just be able to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. It's been brought up a bunch, and Larry Mack brought it up in the broadcast, but it's been brought up a bunch, and it's even more than the things that they listed. But the stuff that Logano, every time something new racetrack, new package, new this, new that, it's like weird how Logano, he's won like all of them, and they only named.
He just has a really good knack of picking things up, don't he?
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that, where they just, anytime something new comes in, they get a hold of it and, at least for the first time, kick ass,
Yeah. And it is wild.
Yeah, and it's happened a bunch over the years, which is really cool. But, yeah, even like at the end there, I think we were texting, I think they had 2 sets of red tires, not 3. Because at the end, Larson put the red tire. He had red tires on, so he ran red tires at the start, put yellow tires on, and then at the halfway break, put red tires on, and then ran them hard for 50 laps. At the 50-lapper, he put on the scuffs that had the one single lap on them. And then he was coming for a second.
He was. For a second, it's a good way to put it.
And I think they got too hot, which is what that tire's supposed to do. When you run it 100% all out, it's going to get too hot, and it takes a couple laps for them to cool back down.
Yeah.
But, Logano had the strategy. And we called it at the middle of the race. Anybody could have seen that red tires was going to be the way to go.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, Larry Mack was like, red tires for you, whatever. So
everybody gets a red.
We knew red tires were going to be the way to go there at the end. So
yeah,
he just did it perfect. Used 2 sets of tires and kicked their ass.
Yeah, and it was really surprising to see that at the end. And one thing I'm just now kind of digging through the finishing order. Another thing that's really surprising is the JGR cars, because you've got JGR finishing in 17th with Bell. You've got him finishing in 12th with Martin Truex. Man, you want to know something really funny?
Lay it on me.
The results for the race, if you look on the NASCAR app, you get 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, no 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, no 11th, 12th, no 13th, 14, 15, 16, and on, down to 20.
That sounds just about right for the NASCAR app.
Which is, I'm guessing, all 3 of the cars that got voted in, because I don't see any of those voted in cars on here. But yeah, just on brand for the NASCAR app. They do not have the open cars that qualified in listed on their results page. So it's throwing me off. I'm trying to see who all finished where. So I don't know where Ty Gibbs exactly finished, but it was somewhere between 6th and 13th, I guess. But basically what I'm trying to get down to is Denny Hamlin's the only one of them that really did anything. You've got Truex, you've got Gibbs, and you've got Bell all finishing down in at either the lowest of the top 10 or further back at a track that you would think that they would do well at, because Joe Gibbs does well at short tracks. And suddenly the entire top 10 minus 1 spot is filled up with nothing but Fords and Chevys.
Yeah.
So very surprising there that Joe Gibbs didn't have anything more to throw at him.
I just thought I don't remember or know how in the hell Bell finished so bad, because there was a big portion of that race, no matter what tire Bell was on, he was clicking off some lap times. Even when to start that last run, when Joe was on reds and he was on yellows, he was running almost the same time start off speed on the yellows. Granted, I know he was giving it everything he had to do that, but I was like, damn, Bell's going to win this damn race. Obviously, that did not happen. But
did not happen at all. No, I just thought that was wild, because usually at a short track, you're fighting with them more than you are anybody else, and really it was the only one with any sort of close thing to contention was Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Finishing there in second. Absolutely wild.
Always hanging around.
He always is. It feels like a good season for him. We'll see how far he makes it. I called him to win the championship, so I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it come to fruition slowly but surely. How about your boy Larson, though?
What a good weekend, dude.
Yeah, you had a great weekend for your driver, man.
I was. You just can't put into words how good of a race car driver. I'm not saying just a NASCAR. I'm saying a race car driver that Kyle Larson is. Like, if it's got 4 wheels, an engine, and a steering wheel, we're talking about how Joey Logano can figure out a new racetrack or a new package.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson, if it's got an engine, 4 wheels, and a steering wheel, he just figures it out. And it not just figures it out, but he is fast in every single thing he gets in.
Yeah.
I mean, the man, every style of dirt track car, like all 7 or 8 dirt track cars you can race, he has won against in the best in the country. He has won truck races, Xfinity Series races, Cup races, won the Rolex 24. He's won every Crown Jewel event and won millions of dollars in the dirt world. And he comes out and runs in fifth, qualifies 5th in the Indy 500 for the Indy 500.
Blows your mind.
I mean, it's mind blowing. It is mind blowing. I just never even Tony Stewart and AJ Foyt was way before my time. But, I got to see Tony Stewart do all this stuff too. And he did it, and he won races, and he was good, and he won championships. But he didn't win as much as Kyle Larson. You know what I mean? It's just like he wins everything, and it just, I don't know. Some people don't appreciate it at all. And even if I wasn't a Kyle Larson fan, I would have to be like, damn, this guy he's a racing son of a bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
And to my knowledge, from what I've seen, there's not been a NASCAR Cup Series driver that's doing the double, qualifying the top 6 before.
Yeah. Just, it blew my mind, too, whenever I found out that I wasn't expecting him to make the 12 after he had that engine problem. Then he makes the 12, and I was like, holy crap, like, that's pretty impressive. Then he makes the 6. I was just like, I don't even know what else to say here, man. It's just crazy to see somebody have that much success. And not for just in one particular segment of the sport, but to go out and do all the things that he does and put himself out there. He's not afraid to put himself into an uncomfortable position, because I don't think he knows what an uncomfortable position really feels like. He's just comfortable everywhere he goes. It's impressive.
It was all over Twitter, but I was glad that Clint Boyer said something about it on the broadcast. Thursday night, he was running a high limits race, which is the series, he owns. We talked about it on here before. And he gets up underneath somebody and makes a boneheaded move, and he barrel rolls down the backstretch in a sprint car. Gets done, obviously, he doesn't even qualify for the main event, because that was like during one of the qualifying races. And he just made tried to do basically what Tyler Reddick did with
Busher.
What Tyler Reddick did on Busher, make that big slide job, and then slide jobs, if they don't work out in a sprint car, they usually don't work out in a big way. He barrel rolls it down the backstretch, hops in a plane, boom. It is in Indy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Qualifies for the Indy 500, boom, back over to Wilkesboro and runs 4th in the All-Star race. And Kyle Larson didn't have a lap in that car all weekend. No red tires, no yellow tires, nothing on the repave. He doesn't know anything except what Kevin Harvick's told him. And then they asked him in one of his interviews, this was before Sunday, is like, have you talked to Harvick? And he's like, no, I haven't talked to him.
All of that was for the team alone.
Yeah. He's like, I hadn't talked to him. He's like, we'll probably talk on Sunday, maybe when I'm on my way over or something like that. But it was like,
yeah,
holy cow, dude. And then the funniest thing, I told you, based on all of his laps he had run in practice, he was an average about a 10th place car like all weekend. And I told you, I was like, if he just goes out and has a normal qualifying lap, I was like, he'll make the race. We weren't even talking about top 12, nothing. I was like, if he just goes out, he has the speed to make the race unless something happens. So he goes out onto the lap and makes like 2 laps, downshift from 6th to 5th, boom, blows the engine.
Yeah.
Up in smoke. And I was like, Oh my God, no way. And then I didn't know how. I knew they have the sessions like 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And I was like, can they get this thing fixed? Before, I was like, can they even make another run? And then boom, it happens. And kind of what everybody was anticipating, though, was like he would make the race, but not the top 12, because the longer you went into the day, the hotter the track got, slicker it got. Yeah. And they were all saying like the guys that had a chance to make a big splash are going to be some of the first guys out, which Kyle Larson was the 6th guy out. He drew 6, but blew an engine, so it didn't really matter. But it was like, this is really going to hurt him for the big, final 12 speed. And he goes out and qualifies. I was just like, what the hell? And then he goes out and at the top 12 puts it at the top of the board. Now, granted, all the other like 5 guys or 4 guys, whatever, beat him out, and he went down to 5th. But he's at the top of the board, and I was just like, it's just mind-blowing. It just blows my mind every time I see it.
He is a special talent and something to be watched for the rest of his career, because who knows what more he's got left in the tank in NASCAR. Not even left in the tank. Who knows what his tank has in it.
Yeah.
Because he's got a long, very, very, very important history in the sport. I can't wait to see what all he can make happen. It's going to be impressive.
It is. It's crazy. And then next week, doing the double, man. I mean, just it's going to be a special day even if he just finishes the Indy 500. And it's kind of everybody's expectations were kind of like, it's going to be cool for him to make it, and then now everybody's seeing the speed, and it's like, Larson he's got to know how to make the right moves and stuff, but everybody's like, Larson has like race winning speed for this thing. And now everybody's like, this is kind of crazy. Like,
there's a lot of chances for something to go wrong, but there is a lot of a possibility that something goes right here too.
Yeah. So that's kind of where everybody's at. On the internet, it's like, our expectations have went from this to this guy could have a hell of a run Sunday.
Dude, nothing tells you more than seeing. I cannot remember who made the quote, and you may have seen it too and may know. But one of the IndyCar drivers was interviewed and asked, what about the possibility of Larson winning the 500? And he said, in exact words, it does not reflect well on us. And that tells you everything you need to know. They aren't writing him off. They're legitimately looking at him as a contender and a threat to come out here and steal a win at the Indy 500 for a NASCAR driver.
Yeah.
And that says everything you need to know right there. They're already getting offended that he's running so well in this car.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. Like, everybody just thought everybody knew he would do good. Good was kind of where they were at. Good means qualifying for the race, running 20th kind of thing.
Yeah.
No one expected to be top 5.
Mm-hmm.
No one expected all these practices for him to be top 10 every single session. Like, no, that just wasn't. I don't even know if Kyle Larson expected that.
Yeah.
And he said too, he was like, basically talking about how the new Cup car is basically an Indy car with fenders on it, and how like it feels he's like, it doesn't feel that much different. He was like, even his quote was about the speed. He was like, the sensation of the speed isn't as drastic as I thought it was going to be. So that like helped him enough, like so much.
Yeah.
He said one of his biggest things so far though is just his like vision. Like it's so bumpy. It's like he's like just blurry. He's like, it's just hard to see because like your eyes are doing this the whole time.
You're getting rattled around the entire time.
Yeah, which he's used to, but he's not used to for that long a time, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that at 242 miles an hour.
I mean, anymore, and anybody who's watched the Indy 500 in a while can definitely say this. Anymore, that 500 flies by.
Oh, it's so fast.
Like, it blows my mind how fast that race goes by. It's, 200 laps around, and it's a blink. We got home last year, and they were already into lap. The race had started at 10, maybe. Whatever time it started, about 10 a.m.
Yeah, like 10 Central Time or so.
Yeah. We got home about 10:40, and they were already on lap 125 or something crazy like that, where I was saying, I'm just going to go home and watch the end of it. Yeah, I told myself, I'm just going to go home and watch the end of it. It's like, shoot, I'm not even going to be able to get home before the end of it happens. It was unbelievable. So they're so fast, dude. Yeah, I mean, whenever they throw up the time, and it's just like, oh yeah, Larson's driving like 241 miles an hour around this track. It's like, holy shit, like that is unfreaking believable.
And when they get
like, what a speed!
They kind of call it like a tow, in tow
instead of a draft.
Draft, yeah. And oh man, and anything can happen. Like obviously, there's already been probably 5 or 6 guys backing into the wall. Yeah. One guy's already flipped over. Like anything can happen.
One guy had a suspension break.
Yeah, I've seen all kind of stuff, and anything can happen. But it's gonna be an exciting day. I personally always try to watch Indy 500, but I will never be watching it more intently than I have this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm excited to see it. I think I've watched one Indy 500, and it was with you at your dad's house whenever he was it was like 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere like that. I remember we watched an Indy 500, and that's the only one I've ever seen, and we still weren't paying crazy much attention to it.
Yeah, it's like I want to see what happens and like see that it's on TV. I'm not like glued to it, but this year it's going to be like a glued to it. Like I've already just been talking about it. Like this is a big deal. Obviously, when I saw this hat, I was like, I saw this hat, at Atlanta, and I was like, I have to get that.
Yeah,
and man, it's gonna be crazy, dude, to do that. And I know people's done it, do the double, but it's just gonna be awesome. And then, as we know, Kyle Larson's got a hellacious chance to win the 600.
Yeah.
And my favorite quote in the world was they were asking him, I told you this already, but I'll say it for everybody else. But they're like talking about his training and hydration and all these things. Like if he was going to be fit and capable to do the double. And his exact quote was, he was smiling. He goes, "If Tony Stewart can do it, I can do it."
And I thought that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah,
dude's going to be fine. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, it's a quick turnaround because the Indy 500 starts at 11:30 Central Time. And then the Coke 600, I believe, starts at 5. I'm just going to check and make sure. Yeah, 5 p.m.
Eastern time.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, that Indy 500, depending on the cautions, will end sometime around like 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
A solid couple hours to get down there, which obviously he can do. So, I think he'll be just fine. And it's that little bit of a break in the middle there, and then gets right into the stock car. And honestly, I could see him going out there and winning the 600 easy, just like you said.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, he has a legit chance, dude. That's all you can ask for. He has a legit chance to do one of the. I mean, the argument's already pretty close of him just straight up being the greatest ever. But if he not pulls, the odds of him winning both are just so slim. But he go out there and run good in one and possibly win the Coke 600, or just even run, top 5 in both, something like that. It's going to be hard to say that there's someone else out there that can do that.
So let's get your ballsy prediction of the day. Where do you think Kyle Larson finishes in the Indy 500, and where do you think he finishes? Give us an over/under. Where you, Dawson Edwards, think he will finish in each one?
Well, in the Cup race, Larson can win anywhere, any race, any weekend. So I think.
Are you calling Kyle Larson to win the 600?
Yeah, I'll have money. I have money on Larson to win the 600 and the Indy 500, but I'm crazy as hell. So that's just me.
Yeah. Well, where do you think he will finish in the 500? Where do you think he will finish?
In the 500,
you had to make a bold prediction.
I want to see him finish top 10, like 10th or better.
Give me a number. Give me a number.
10th, like 10th or better is where I'm at.
Do you think he will finish in 10th?
Top 10 is what I'm saying.
Damn, I can't give me an actual number. I want a number. I want
10th is fine. I want your prediction. 10th is fine. So cool. 10th or better.
I'm going to say 10th for you. All right. I'm writing this down for later.
I mean, that is pushing it, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's a bold fucking prediction.
Exactly. That's why I said it was your ballsy pick of the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bold prediction for that to even come out of my mouth.
I love it. So 10th in the 500. Where do you think he's finishing the Coke 600? Do you think he wins it?
I'm going winner.
He's going winner.
600.
Damn. All right. I think Larson in the 500, man, there's the one thing that worries me for Larson in the 500 is genuinely, I know this sounds really stupid, but pit road. Because it's a completely different car, a completely different set of circumstances, and it seems like every Indy 500 has somebody screw up on pit road.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily saying it'll be Larson screwing up on pit road, but just with the added speed, the narrowness of that pit road, being in a different kind of car that's coming at a completely different rate of speed and having to figure out all of this on the fly with other cars doing it at the same time, I'm worried that pit road's going to be a snafu. But without pit road difficulties, I think Larson runs 7th. I'm going to go a little higher than you even did.
I love it.
I'm calling for bold. I'm good. I'm doing bold pick of the day.
Something though that helps me out with what you just said though, like in NASCAR for the Daytona 500 for the biggest race of the year, they don't let the damn cars touch the track till qualifying. You got guys that have never ran in a plate track, never touched Daytona, never entered pit road. Well, the IndyCar guys, you've been practicing for a whole 2 weeks before this. So, like, Larson has gotten to practice getting on pit road. I know it's not in a race scenario, but he has gotten to practice going down pit road and making that off the track thing. So that at least he has practice. You know, he's not
without a doubt. Yeah,
it's not NASCAR style where they're making them go in there cold turkey.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's still a concern in my mind. It's definitely not that he hasn't had a shot to do it.
I think another big concern is being in the race with all the cars and not just around a few cars, you know, in practice. Like
doing an actual NASCAR race, doing the long line of people starting and everything, all the restarts and everything when they're all bunched up, making wild-ass moves on each other.
That's going to be a completely different that's going to be different, too. I mean, the more cars and everything out there and the way the car feels around all the different cars, too. Like, that's what I'm saying. We're giving some super bold predictions here, but we got high hopes for Kyle Larson. So
yeah, I'd rather die on a bold prediction than live long on he'll finish better than 35th.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 7th in the 500, and I'm going to say 5th in the 600. I'm going 5th. I still think he does extremely well. I don't think he wins it, but I think he does extremely well. He's obviously got a shot to win it, but I'm going 5th.
Yeah.
So we'll price his right it later and see who did better.
Yeah, he will. He'll have a shot at the 600 for sure. I mean, that's just common knowledge. I think for the 600, all you got to do is go back and look at Darlington and Kansas, and those are going to be the guys that run well at the 600.
Yeah.
I think RFK is going to run great this coming week.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about it, but Fords have found something. And I'm not saying they're going to go out here and balls to the wall win every race, but they definitely had a short track thing figured out. And Darlington they had figured out. So
And Kansas.
Which they already were fast at any of those high downforce tracks. It's all these.
Yeah.
The lower the downforce rating, the worse Fords have been. And for some reason, they were just lights out yesterday. So.
Yeah, I just see the Ford. I see RFK specifically doing great. I could see Penske doing good too. They just not been it so far, but you could see that.
Yeah.
Your normal Denny Hamlins, Kyle Larsons, William Byron's gotten a little cold to me here recently, but
a little bit. But he's cold up front. I mean, he's still cold in the top 10.
Yeah. I guess it's just because he came out of the gate so strong. It felt like he was like leading every lap and winning. He's won 3 races or 2 races. Or
Absolutely.
Something.
How quick the wind is to turn your flag around. I swear.
Yeah, and that just is NASCAR all the way around. It'll always be that way. But I think a lot of those guys, that's who's going to run well. There's always like a dark horse in the 600 though that comes around like a Eric Jones or like Austin Dillon's won, you know, whatever, like a dark horse guy that you just didn't see coming. You know, something happens. There's a lot of fuel mileage stuff that goes on at the 600 because it is 600 laps. I'm so sick of them bringing up the 1980s and 90s deal where it's like, it's an extra 100 miles. We got to see which car can make it. Every one of these cars can make it 600 miles, first through 40th. I'm so sick of that. The engines don't blow anymore. Stuff that just doesn't happen no more.
It's more about driver endurance than it is about car
driver
endurance
and like fuel mileage and stuff like that. That's where stuff has happened in the past. More recently in the past, not back in the day. The reason that was said, after 500 miles, people would drop like flies. And that was a common thing. Super common.
I mean, we were talking about it with the Becoming Earnhardt documentary that Dale Jr. did about his dad. How many driver changes there used to be back in the day? It was almost like every other race you had a driver change at some point in the middle of that race because somebody was getting exhausted or just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
it was just hot as hell.
Carbon monoxide.
It was back in the day. It was brutal. It was way harder to do 600 miles back in the day.
Yeah, now
I'm not saying it's easy. But it's a lot more manageable.
It's not easy, but it's not just people falling out of the seat and engines and drivetrains and transmissions and all that just falling like flies. That's just not a thing anymore. So
and they're racing at night, so the sun goes down on them. They got plenty of time to.
Yeah, so that's where I don't know. I don't know who that dark horse will be, but somebody will be up front Sunday night that's not typically up there. I will go out and say.
I love this event with all of my heart and soul, and I want to see them make one change to it, period. One change. I think because this is already a long as all get out race, it's 600 miles, which I don't think anybody really understands. Like, we're talking about taking these guys and trying to get them from frickin' Nashville to the East Coast in, what is it, like 3.5, 4 hours?
Yeah.
Normally like a 10, 12-hour drive. And one thing I would love to see is this be like an old school NASCAR race. And if you have to, double the points that they pay out at the end, but take the stages out of I'm not calling for the end of stages altogether. I know that's too much to ask, but this would be a great race to go back to the old school way of doing things. Take the stages out and just let them all race each other as hard as they want to for 600 straight laps and get to the very end and pay them double. So that way it makes it worth it to have the longest race of the year. But I would love to see this one just play out and not have the stages or anything in it, because you want to talk about fuel mileage, savings, all the things, all the strategy getting to come into a really long race like this. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah, I could see. I didn't really think about no stages at all, but my thing, I would love to just see it be 3 stages instead of 4. That way it'd be more broke up than just 100, 100, 100, 100 the way they got it.
I agree with you, because it does kind of mess with your strategy because you're having a 25%. It's the same breakdown every time, so the strategy doesn't change.
Yeah, so I would like it where at least the stages were way bigger. It's like the same thing you just said, though, because of fuel mileage and the strategy and the tire management and all those things. That's what I want is long.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, I look forward to this event every year. It's the greatest day in racing, period. Because you get the Indy 500, you get the Coke 600, and you get Monaco at the very beginning of the day, which, love it or hate it, F1, some people may not like it. I like watching it. I know there's not a lot of passing. I know it is what it is. I just give away my expectations. I'm not going to F1 to watch a NASCAR race. If I wanted to watch a NASCAR race, I'd watch a damn NASCAR race. I'd go to F1 to watch F1. And I'm going to have the TV on racing all day long.
Same.
Allison's got the day off on Monday. So we're getting home from Biloxi. And thank God we have the easiest weekend of the year this week. We only are in Biloxi. We go there 2 nights in a row, Friday night, Saturday night, play the same stage. We got to load in once, load out once, and thank God because it's the Blue Mile.
Yep.
If anybody hasn't been to the IP casino that works on the road in Biloxi, just get ready. It's a mile walk from the truck to the damn stage, and the whole hallway is just a long blue floor, so we call it the Blue Mile.
Yep.
And only got to set up once. Just go out, have a good time. I think this is going to be my first time gambling again on a casino floor in a year and a half.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
going to take my per diem to the machines and see what I can make happen.
And it's only like 6 hours from Nashville, so we will all be back for all the races. Won't be back for Monaco, but we'll be back by lunchtime for the 500 and the 600.
I mean, shoot. Well, you will be. I'll be home a little bit earlier since I don't have as long of a drive back to the house. But either way, I'm stoked. I'm so ready for Sunday. This is one of the Sundays I've looked forward to the most. I mean, we get done playing at 9:30. We'll be out of that place by midnight.
Yeah.
Send it. We'll be home by like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just everything about the tradition. For a guy like me or you, like, you can't think about Memorial Day without thinking about the racing that goes along with it.
Yep.
And not taking away from what Memorial Day means or is and all those things, but it's big family holiday. Everybody always has Monday off. They always run it on Sunday night. The Indy 500 is always during the Sunday during the day. Hot dogs, hamburgers, family, thanking the veterans, beer, racing,
American flags,
fireworks, like all the stuff that we all love is like that's what happens on Sunday and Monday,
Yeah, Lee Greenwood, all the things we got to remember.
Yeah. Born in the USA.
Yeah, Springsteen, the boss. Yeah, it's such a great weekend. So I can't wait to see how everybody's going to enjoy it. I think as soon as I get home, we may invite some people over. I'm not sure.
Dude, y'all should just come down racing. Here. We're inviting everybody over. Y'all should just come.
Damn, that would be fun. You
got Monday off, so there you go.
I know. We may have to think about that.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, we got a lot to get ready for sure. So I am definitely excited. So you've already picked your winner. You're picking Larson to win. I'm gonna have to. Gosh, I'm gonna go with the 17. I'm gonna go with Chris Buescher. I think Chris Buescher gets him a 600.
He deserves the one, and I really do think they will run. I think they'll run top 5 all day. Top 10,
without
top 5 all day.
They've been running phenomenal. He's sniffed the lead at the last 3 races, so I think
great.
He finally gets it. I think he finally gets him one right there.
Even though
that's my pick for the win.
Even though there's like a down spot at the beginning of the year, if you go back to the midway point of last year to right now, even though there was a down spot at the beginning of this year, Chris Buescher has ran incredible for like a full season now, if you count like halfway through to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he has.
And
I love it.
He's got 3 wins to his name in that time. Could have freaking 5 or 6 wins to his name if things fell the right way. That's
just like the old petty guys and the old Earnhardt pit crew always say, the Flying Aces. They always talk about it. It doesn't matter how many you win. I guarantee you threw away 3 times more.
Yep,
that's part of it. It's hard to win these damn things.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly. So we've got Larson, we've got Buescher. Let's give him a couple more to watch for.
Hamlin.
Truex for sure, and Truex is the one I was going to focus on more because it seems like he does really good at this racetrack and does extremely well at the 500, at the 600 every single year.
Yeah. So Larson, Buescher, Kez, Hamlin, Truex. That's pretty solid top 5 right there.
Yeah. I'm going to always throw in Blaney. He did win this event last year, so just keep an eye out for. And if Fords have truly found something, Logano will also be kind of dangerous. And I know that's a lot of different people to watch for, but this is a race where you kind of have to pick a lot of different people because it is such a long race. A lot of things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of strategies can play out in a different ways. So this is going to be one. That's going to be one to watch. And with this new car doing the crazy things it does at a 1.5-mile track, it's just imagine doing a 600-mile race at Kansas. I mean, just imagine doing that hard of racing for 600 miles. I would love to see it. I know it's a little different. It races a little different, but
Charlotte Oval's been a banger since 22 when they brought this car in.
Yeah,
I mean, it just
I'm so excited, man.
Has been. I wish they'd take the Roval and do like they run the Bank of America 400 in the later on in the year like they used to.
Yeah, I feel like Tums is paying them too much money to have that heartburn turn.
I think Denny Hamlin would pay Tums the money back to or pay something to get him out because he's like, we're racing in the parking lot of this incredible facility. Like, what are we doing? It cracks me up when he says racing in the parking lot.
Yeah,
but it cracks me up to hear him say it.
The Roval win that Blaney got the very first time they were out there was, I mean, golly, man, that was one of my favorite races of all time. I've watched that race back probably 4 or 5 times now. I will always say it. The Roval has my heart, but I've left it in the past. I'm ready to move on.
The Roval was awesome until
with the old car.
Yeah, yeah. There was something awesome happened at every Roval race, and I don't remember how many there were, but the few of them they had before the new car, I was all in. It was great. It was slick. It was hot. They were slipping around, like missing turns and just all
Chase
the things.
Noses it into the wall.
Yeah,
and
comes back and wins. Like all the stuff, dude. And then 2022 happened, and it has been the biggest dud. I mean, golly. I'm not even getting into all the duds.
Yeah, it's a car problem on a road course. That is what it is. But that's the great part about this one is it's such an easy transition to get away from it and doing the 600 or doing the shorter race at the end of the year on the oval. I mean, you're not changing anything about the fan experience. The fan experience is still the same, other than what they're actually coming to watch. And people will show up to watch that Charlotte Roval twice in a year, especially in Charlotte.
Yeah, they would sell tickets if it was a 400-mile race, just like the 600, but a 400-mile race. They would sell tickets.
Absolutely. All right, man. So let's get on down to it. We've got an award to give out. We got the Hack of the Week. Hack of the Week.
Yeah. You go first. I don't know.
I'm going for it. Oh, mine's easy. Mine is a no-brainer. Mine is the dumbest shit I've seen in a Truck Series race since Carson Hocevar picked up a cup steering wheel.
What was it?
The backpack in Stuart Friesen's truck.
Oh.
That managed to make it almost 150 laps before anyone realized it was in his truck. It's a full backpack. We're talking, the way that they threw it, it looks like it had to have weighed at least 20, 25 pounds. 20, 25 pounds of backpack was in your truck for 150 laps. Dude, what is that? You're adding weight to your own truck. I know it couldn't have been anything that they intended to do. It doesn't help him out at Tech because there's no way you're picking up that much rubber that it's going to offset the weight of a backpack. So you take that sucker and throw it out in front of God and everybody. It's blasted all over the TV. Somebody seriously left it. Like, that is so shit quality control with putting your truck on the track. That is an idiot move. I hope Door Bumper Clear gives him what an idiot for leaving a backpack in your damn truck. So I was flabbergasted when I saw that, and immediately knew that it was getting my Hack of the Week award. Adding weight to your own truck and not realizing it until there was only like 50 laps left to go in the race.
You texted me that, and then I saw the videos on Twitter, and I was like, "What? How the hell does that happen?"
Yeah, and how does Stewart not see it for the whole first half of the race?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have like a great Hack of the Week. Megan, my sister, she said her Hack of the Week was Kyle Busch for running everybody over.
Yeah, he's my back Hack of the Week for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
because I was going to add that on later.
Yeah,
because he goes out there and he races like a dumbass and finishes in 10th at a race where you're trying to win.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I'll go with Megan and Kyle Busch as the Hack of the Week, even though I loved everything that happened afterwards. But
I'll
go with that. And I also want to give a shout out to Butterbean Brandon Queen. I thought he ran that was awesome, and he's a good old boy, and doesn't come from a bunch of money, and won the freaking Cars Tour race there last year, and got an opportunity. Sat it on the pole, right? Put it first in qualifying.
He was fastest in practice.
They didn't
fastest
qualify.
in practice.
Fastest in practice.
And he was so much fun to watch.
Went to the back, had to start in the back, went to the front, got a penalty, had to go to the back, drove back up to fourth.
And he raced his ass off, and he was pushing people around.
He's a race
he did
car
not
driver,
care.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't have a fight with Christian Eckes after the race.
Yeah, he told Christian Eckes to shove his finger up his ass, which was pretty awesome. He was flipping them birds down the backstretch, and he said, "You can stick that finger up your ass." So I thought that was amazing. That was pretty solid.
That's just short track racing, man. I mean, he comes from a land where the races are short and every position matters, and you got to get them quick. So he's not going to sit there and run behind you and wait till you make a mistake. He's going to go up there and muscle you through it. And I love that. It was a very Earnhardt's way of racing. I'm here to win. I'm going to get to the front, and you are just in my way. So either move or I'm going to make you.
I died. The funny thing, the first time I heard about Butterbean was probably, it wasn't long ago. I mean, like less than two. It was probably like 2022, 2023 when he's coming in and started racing some of these bigger late model races. And kind of like they said on Door Bumper Clear, like if you follow along on Twitter and Flow or whatever, you start hearing these names in late model races so much more often than you used to, and then they just stick with you and you know who these guys are, for a long time. And they talked about Butterbean, knocking people out, the big Butterbean from back in the day, the wrestler or whatever, boxer, whatever he was. And so I was hearing about Butterbean this, Butterbean that. Well, I expected this Butterbean guy to be like a 40-year-old guy, bald-headed, big old boy.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was so like mind blown. I was like, this is Butter. Like the first time I like saw him like out of the car giving an interview, I was like, I'd never been more confused. I was like, this is Butterbean, And then he said on Door Bumper Clear he looked like him when he was a kid, or baby pictures, or whatever.
Baby.
And but yeah, shout out to him. That was good. I hope to see him. I hope he gets another chance and some other equipment.
Oh, I think with the way he just raced that race, I think it's a no-brainer to put him back in another truck.
Yeah.
I mean, he was out there having a good old time. I mean, honestly, take that penalty away, and I wonder if he don't win the damn thing.
100%.
I mean, Heim was fast. Don't get me wrong. Heim would get out to a 2.5-second lead like nothing, so he'd have had a lot to fight for there. But I would have loved to see the possibilities. If he just missed out on that penalty, I didn't even catch what the penalty was. But if that just didn't happen,
on pit road,
he'd be fine.
Yeah.
And I think he would have gone out there and fought for the win. So,
me too.
All about it, man. I'm glad you brought him up. I meant to earlier and I forgot. But hell of a drive. I was texting you the whole time it was happening. It was so much fun to watch. I would love to see him get another shot, and I can't wait for it to happen because I know it will.
Yeah. Well, I reckon that's about it.
Heck yeah.
This weekend. Y'all can follow us on Raised Rowdy Racing. I'm Dawson Edwards Music on everything.
Heck yeah. I'm Caleb Conrady across the board. Don't forget to go and follow all of our good buddies at Raised Rowdy. You got Raised Rowdy Nikki T. You've got Matt Burrell. Dawson did just do a podcast. What was that? What was the podcast you did? You did it with Peyton Heben.
Yeah, the Music Biz podcast.
The Music Biz podcast. Inside the Music Biz.
Yeah, it was awesome. It
was a great episode.
One out.
Yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of listening to it. I've known this guy for a really long time. I already know every story he could tell. He still managed to find one that I hadn't heard before.
I don't even know which one it was.
It was right there at the end when you started talking about advice that you would give somebody, and I was blown away. It was a great piece of advice. I honestly didn't expect that to be your advice, and I loved that you chose it because it was a very mature and grown-up answer. And not saying that you're not mature, but we do a lot of wild and crazy and rowdy things.
Guy,
Yeah, it's just funny because having known you since 2016 and all the crazy crap that we have done and found our ways into, it's just funny to think that here we are all these years later and we're given grown-up and mature advice. And I'm telling you, the two guys that were in the Talladega infield, you wouldn't have taken advice from them on how to take a Talladega shower. So
that is true.
It just was cool to be able to hear it because it just shows how much we've grown and changed in a long time. But
that's true.
If you'd like to hear Dawson Edwards give you great advice about something that's not a crock pot recipe, go and check him out on that podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
But either way, y'all, thanks for making it all the way to the end here. we really appreciate everybody taking the time to listen. Get ready, because I know next week is going to be a marathon. We have a 600-mile race, so we have 600 new things to talk about.
And we have a 500-mile IndyCar race to talk about.
Exactly. So everybody out there, we appreciate y'all sticking with us. There's a GoFundMe on our links in the bio, and it is for Dawson's what do they call those damn things? Liquid IV budget. It's going up a lot lately. He's just been enjoying his Sundays a little bit too much, so we got to get him some liquid IVs airdropped to his house, so that way he's a little less hungover when we do these podcasts on Monday. And the price on those keeps going up, so we're really going to need some help with that.
Unless your name is Mark Hively. He gets discounts on his.
Exactly. So we already have a good hookup to lower the price, so we're not asking for much. $5 goes a long way. But we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And I hope y'all have a phenomenal Memorial Day. Go out there and have a good time, y'all, and we will see y'all next Monday.
See y'all.
Adios.